Buyer's remorse.
Welcome to Buyer's Remorse. This is the show where we subject each other to unplayed games that are in our libraries, sitting there waiting for a ray of hope to shine upon them to get played for just 1 hour. And
gets longer every time. Go on.
And this week, what did I pick for you, Justin?
This week was Slice, Dice, and Rice.
Oh, yeah. I like the look of this game, but I wonder if it actually is worth it. So I had to guinea pig you on this one. Sorry.
This game, let's talk about it. So it is, as labeled, a 2D fighter with no health bar. The goal, as it says in the description on Steam, is you try to get one clean hit. That's the goal. This game is from April of 2017. Both the developer and publisher is Dojo Games. It has mixed reviews, and I think overall it's over 200 reviews it has at the moment. The game is $10 as a base price.
Pricey. Seems pricey.
It does, and I think that's part of the reason for the mixed reviews. Let's get into the game, though. First off, the controller works, which is great for me, especially when it comes to a fighting game, because I find fighting games with keyboard and mouse are really awkward. You start with 8 characters, but really you don't. How do I put this? So in the dojo, which is the practice area, you can play all of those 8 characters, but when you go into story mode, you only have 1. So you essentially have to go all the way through the story mode to unlock each character one at a time.
Okay. In the dojo, are there ones that are definitely better than your starting character, or are they all kind of the same because it's just a one-hit, one-kill kind of thing? Is it just an aesthetic?
It's aesthetic, yes, but it's also different styles. So I would say the style is more important. And I guess we'll get into that as we start talking about the actual play. So in story mode, you start off as Kojiro, and this character has a skull mask and a long samurai sword. You get tiny bits of story through text, usually before a fight or maybe after a fight. Occasionally at the beginning of a fight, they will have speech bubbles above them where they're insulting each other or saying how they're going to win over the other person. It says in the story that Kojiro finds himself in hell looking for one more taste of combat.
Okay.
The game works this way. As said before, there's not a lot of health bars. There is a chance where you can wound people, so you can hinder them with their jumping or their speed, but more often I found it was one good attack that would kill me or would kill the other character. The way this works is you play to 4 victories, and that seems like a lot, but considering that one hit could do you, a lot of these fights can be really, really short. But it also means that it's very easy to lose. So I lost a lot of times. In fact, I think the first character I had to fight, which was Tengu, he's a character that has kind of like a bird face and a fan made out of blades. And he crushed me a good 10 times before I was able to...
It's the first guy.
Yeah.
Wow.
But a lot of that is learning about the timing. It's really hard to learn about the timing when you can dive very quickly.
Right.
And that is one area where I think a lot of people who like fighting games, who are more used to Mortal Kombat or Tekken or something along those lines, will find that this one, wow, that's really harsh.
So this isn't a button mashing kind of game then?
Well, you can.
But you're going to lose.
Maybe. I don't know. I think, honestly, this may be more of a button mashing game than one of those others, because the others, you have to start learning combos and special moves. But in this one, there's not a lot of combos. There's not a lot of skills to learn. You only have 4 buttons. You have a vertical attack, you have a horizontal attack, you have parry, and you have a heavy attack. And that's all you've got.
Okay.
And you can maybe do slightly different things if you're hitting forward or backward, or if you're in the air versus on the ground. And there might be some tiny combos or techniques that you can use, but this isn't like a more recent Mortal Kombat game where you have to learn these giant 10-button combos. This isn't the type of game where you have to memorize all that stuff. So in a way, for me, that's good. And also, in a way, Mortal Kombat is utterly ridiculous now, where they show people's skulls being smashed in and then they get back up to fight. There isn't that in this game.
I was going to say, if it's a one-hit kill thing, like, and you're cutting off someone's head, how can you come back to get 4 victories against them?
My guess is because we're in hell, it's a type of purgatory. So even if you die, you come back again.
Okay, fair enough. That sorts that out then.
I don't think that that's very specifically said, but that's what I'm going to go with. Otherwise, imagine only getting one try and it loading every time. And that would be a disaster. Yeah. There's no way that game would survive. They talk, I think, in the description and somewhere else where they mentioned that Bushido Blade was an inspiration for this, but I don't think I've ever played Bushido Blade.
That was one of the reasons that I kind of was interested in this game in the first place, was Bushido Blade. I played that. It was basically 2 guys running around a bamboo forest, and it was all about getting that kind of opening so that you could hit them properly and kill them. Yeah, it was a decent game. It was interesting. I don't think it did great, hence why you don't even know it exists.
I knew it existed, but it wasn't something I played. After beating Tengu, I get to take on the Monkey King, who has his staff, and that again took me a while. After that, there's a bit of text that said there was only one enemy that eluded Kojiro, someone he fought over and over, but he never defeated, and like a bad rash, he returns once more. And this character is called Yojimbo, which I'm not sure if that's meant to be based on the Akira Kurosawa film, or if Yojimbo actually has some sort of general term. I don't know. It's just kind of weird that you have the Monkey King, this very iconic character in Chinese traditional folklore, and then you have Yojimbo.
Man, when you said the Monkey King, I was like, the first thing that popped into my head was the Jungle Book. I thought you were fighting a massive gorilla.
Wrong Monkey King. Not.
No, Yojimbo is in Final Fantasy as well, isn't he? He's one of the GFs.
Is he?
I think so. The samurai guy that you get, and you pay him the money, pay him the gold, and he does, like, if you pay him, it seems really random. Sometimes you give him, like, 1 gil, and he just, like, destroys everything. Sometimes you give him 1 million, and he does, like, a 200-point damage on someone. But yeah, I reckon, maybe he's a historical Japanese character.
So, I battle on a few others. I don't know how in detail I really want to get into each fight, but you essentially go through all your characters. There's a character I do want to bring up called, I believe it's Yoketsu, which is a woman, and she has this absolutely ridiculously large sword, like the size of a full-size table, that she somehow can swing quick enough to kill me. And I found that really irritating because I don't think anyone should be able to swing a sword that's that big. It makes Final Fantasy swords look slightly more normal. I'm not going to say look normal, but it looks like a Final Fantasy sword in a world that shouldn't have that. And while I'm at that, I do want to talk about the look of the game as well. The look is great, actually. I like the look of the game a lot. Most of the colors of the character and the backgrounds are muted, except for certain aspects. So in this character, she has dragons on her clothes, and the dragons are bright gold, but everything else is just black outlines for the most part. In the background, it might be a dock or trees, something like that. Most muted, but if there is a pair of lanterns, those will be glowing red. Blood obviously glows red. So what they've done is somewhat like a Sin City aesthetic to it, where it is mostly dark except for a handful of colors that accentuate things. And I like the look of that. I think that it works very well.
When I saw the pictures of it, it looked like a kind of neat art style.
After defeating Yoketsu, I get to go to an ancient temple, which is amidst the clouds, and I walk up the golden stairs, and I have to take on, I believe his name is Kami Benkai, protector of the golden rice of creation.
Okay.
So I have to defeat him, and after I defeat him, Kojiro swallows 1 grain of rice, again all through text.
Yeah.
Swallows 1 grain of rice, gains knowledge and power, and realizes that the only step up from here is to take on the Lord of Hell. So I have to take on this character that looks somewhat like the Grim Reaper and has this scythe floating behind him. And
sounds awesome.
Took me a little while. And this character, much like any boss fight, is slightly more powerful. So a regular hit doesn't seem to take him out. It seems like it takes 2 regular hits or 1 heavy hit to take him out, which was a bit frustrating at first, but for me, this game is all about perseverance, so I just kept trying and trying until I won. In the text, it says that you take over the throne, and basically you're in charge of hell, and you have to wait for a challenger to come in. And your first challenger is going to be the next character you get, which is Tengu, which is the bird-faced character. As you go through, this character is bored with all the delicacies of Earth, and he needs something to alleviate his dark mood. And he's looking for a good food that's going to alleviate this dark mood, apparently.
Some golden rice.
And that's basically it. Here's where I start to feel why I understand this game gets mixed reviews. With this character and his fans, I found a lot of times I felt like the fans should have connected and they didn't.
Okay.
Like the fan of Blades is going right over us, passing right over the character who's jumping over me, but doesn't seem to touch them. And I've seen a few comments to this regard that the hitboxes are not necessarily where they should be. Things that should connect don't necessarily connect. And I was feeling that a lot with this character. Now, you asked before about who to choose, and this is the thing about the characters is the first character I played with, Kojiro has a massive attack that is very forward, whereas this one does a backwards dodge and then attack. That's his heavy. So a lot of his attacks are much faster and you have to be much closer. So it's more a matter of knowing the timing and knowing what the characters are going to do to help you improve. And I think that's why, again, the first character I fought took me a lot of times to beat because you're just getting used to it. And it takes a lot of time to get used to it when they can kill you in one hit.
Yeah.
I did make it to the temple. At that point, my hour is up, but I was so close that I did continue to play, at least just to finish this one. And yes, you do have to fight. Now, Yama Kojiro, who is the character, I believe, from, Act 1 that you played. So now you take over, and I'm assuming that the next time, Tengu will now be the boss fight.
And so there's 8 characters?
Yes, I believe so.
It's not bad. It's like how many hours? Maybe a 4 or 5 hour game then.
Depends how good you are, I suppose. At that rate, yes, it would probably take me a good 4 hours to beat, but I'm sure better people could do it much faster. I don't think there's a lot of replay value. I think people are also a bit disappointed there's not much story. This story is reminiscent of Mortal Kombat 1, where it's just all text.
Right.
You get the ending, but you don't even get a lot of text, and there's not a lot of world here. There's this golden rice of creation, and that's about it. You know you're in hell, but they don't really talk about it in a way that you know what this world is like, or you know that these people are suffering. You don't...
Or even why you're there.
Yeah, I mean, their motivation seems very weak. I want one more battle, or I'm hungry for something special. Maybe some of the other characters have better stories, but this is not like Samurai Showdown. Although there is one fighting end where the screen gets really bloody, and they do... I swear they stole it right from Samurai Showdown. There's just this yell that seems like it comes straight from that game. But those characters all had some sort of... Well, I don't know about all of them, but a lot of them had these dark stories or these motivations for wanting to get through the tournament. This one feels a bit weak as far as story. So if that's what you want in a fighting game, if you want to feel something for your character, I don't think you're going to in this one. At least not based on the first 2 characters. If you want a fighting game that's different, that is more about quick attack and quick fights rather than long, prolonged combos and juggling, having to practice for hours to master. If you want something that's a bit more simple and straightforward, I think this could be good. I think $10 is steep, though.
Right.
You can get older games that are better. You'll get a lot more content and a lot more playing time. However, I know I didn't pay $10 for this game. So if you can find it in a bundle, this is the type of thing I'd recommend. You already have this game, so I would definitely tell you, give it a try. And as for other people, if this sounds appealing, then I would say yes. But again, on sale or in a bundle. That's the way I suggest it.
So buyer's remorse or confirmation, Justin?
Because I got it in a bundle, because I got it cheap, I would say confirmation. If I'd bought it for $10, this would have been a bit of remorse. But as I bought it, The way I have it in my library, it's a definite confirmation.
Buyer's confirmation.
I'll just talk during the pauses.
Yeah.
On sale or... I thought I was going to get it that time. I delved back into the Ocean Bundle for Darren this week, and I had you play...
Elf. Pressed every key. So I do like the whole pressing every single key along the rows.
I can't imagine with a simple name like Elf that it also helps either, because that will give you loads of things that have nothing to do with this game.
The movie came up quite a lot, yeah. Because I think they should preserve them no matter how bad they are. This time I don't even get to the silent screen. All I get is like this like blue Windows thing saying, this is too old to run. There's guys on magic carpets shooting balls of lightning at you. There's bees, snails, chocolate rabbits.
All this and more in the next episode of Buyer's Remorse.